You and I are constantly bombarded by misinformation from politicians, celebrities, and media personalities who demonize guns and gun owners. Their accounts are contrary to my experience as a responsible gun owner, a retired police officer, and a professional competitive shooter. I have listened to their lies and I've taken their punches, but I refuse to stay silent any longer because I know a lot of women who have something to say and they won in the game. They're ready to play offense with the truth.
The truth is, we all want the same thing: to protect ourselves, our families, and to be safe in our communities. The DC Project is a nationwide grassroots organization made up of women from every demographic. We come from all different walks of life, but we are united in preserving our Second Amendment rights. As we share our experiences, we push back against gun control lies and oppose those who demand our rights be restricted.
As an immigrant from Venezuela, I saw how easy it was for freedom to die. My family and I watched tyranny destroy our home. In Venezuela, the media, celebrities, and politicians repeated the same anti-gun messages until people found it normal and acceptable to give up their freedoms. The reality is, none of it is normal or acceptable. Hungry and helpless, Venezuelans are now unable to protect themselves. Now, as a proud American, I am determined to guard against the same things happening here.
We constantly hear about common sense gun control, like universal background checks, banning assault weapons, ghost guns, high-capacity magazines, and gun show loopholes. Every city that is facing massive crime waves have put these policies into place. Common sense tells me that they don't work. So why do people still believe the idea that those policies save lives? Actual common sense is holding criminals accountable, not letting them out of jail or encouraging them to be more confrontational. Common sense is not stealing the right of the American people to protect themselves. This is the message that America needs to hear.
The DC Project works to reduce firearm accidents by campaigning for education in schools. We counter the false gun control lies by testifying in hearings and meeting our legislators. We equip our friends, our families, and our communities to know the truth. Gun owners are good people.
America is a beacon of freedom. The Second Amendment is vital piece in ensuring that our kids can have a free country to grow up in. We stand with the lawmakers who support the Constitution, and we provide armor from the attacks by the gun control lobby.
Join the DC Project today. Become a member, donate, or subscribe to our newsletter for updates on how we educate, advocate, and preserve our Second Amendment rights for generations to come.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Shooter standby.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
So, hey, folks, welcome to Eye on the Target Radio. It's going to be an amazing show. Rob's been sitting here doing show prep for a while. Why am I laughing at you?
I just watching me try to get back in the chair and knock everything over.
Well, there was that. So, yeah, the highlighter's on the floor, the show prep's all on the floor. It was like, wow, let's just throw everything. It's like a confetti fair happening right here in studio. Who knows why? So more guns, more politeness, less crime is what one of our commenters is telling us that he would like to see of the show. So, yeah, well, guess what? Guns and crime sometimes go together, and
peas and carrots. Huh?
Peas and carrots, or guns stop crime, or guns commit crime, or, it's a little bit of all of that.
And the voice of politeness, I think that politeness is out the window. I mean, we've got.
I'm polite.
That. No, you're not.
Oh. No, I am.
In most cases, you try to be polite, but we're nowhere near as polite as people used to be. And anymore, it's just we don't even think about it. We just let it pass right by us.
Well, there's a difference between politeness, which I think I am, and kindness, which I'm sure I'm not. Right? So there is that. We have people in our circle that are extremely kind, and they think of things, and it's like, I would do that too if I had a thought about it, but I don't think about it.
I wouldn't have done it.
Well, there is that. I have a much more kind gene than you have. You have
some people are like, oh, that's so sad, and I'm like, you stupid ass, what were you thinking?
Exactly. So have you been shooting lately? Have you been reloading lately? Have you been shopping lately?
I got a 2 5-gallon buckets of 223 brass, and it's like a triple crip primer type thing.
Okay.
It is such a pain in the rear end. It's like so I went through and I've been slowly de-priming and then flaring primer pockets, and that's downright boring work for sure.
Okay.
So
yeah, I can't. The idea of reloading just does not do anything for me at all. It doesn't.
Well, some people do it because it saves them money, and some people do it because they're looking for a super accurate load. Some people do it because they got a gun that you can't buy ammo for, especially in today's market. There's just some calibers, they've just not made any ammo for so long that every little bit's been bought up, and so they're all sitting there. They're like, is my gun obsolete now? It's like, no, they'll come back around and make bullets for it again. It's just that
maybe. See, to me, I mean, the projects that I take on that are projects they either have to be mentally stimulating, they have to have a sense of success or completion, and I find the chunka, it's not mentally stimulating, and when you look at the little pile that's in the bucket of done and the never-ending pile of not done, there's no sense of accomplishment.
If you're making something that hasn't been made in 80, 100 years, and you take this and modify it over to that, and then you're able to pull the trigger and make it actually shoot. That is mentally stimulating, and it is it does take you a while to figure out some of that stuff.
No, it does not.
Some bullets. I mean, back in the day, what was a standard size is no longer a standard size, and so there's.
But that's called progress, right? Or
it makes you wonder why, like the 8mm Mauser, everybody knows, we've all got one somewhere stashed. In 1905, Germany decided that 8mm meant something different. So they went from a 318 bullet to a 323 diameter bullet. Now, why would they?
Now, when they did that, that means that everything that was in the 318 is now a hand grenade in the 323
right,
if
so
you're using the same numbers,
it's
right?
hard to do it. And so the Germans being what they are, they put an S on the big one and a J on the little one, so that way you know the difference. If you blow yourself up, it's your own fault.
So if you shoot a J through an S,
you're fine. If you shoot an S through a J, then you're not fine.
got it.
So, and then a lot of the early stuff was some of it was rebarreled over, and then they would just stamp an S on top of it to show you that.
So then it was a J. Never mind, S, right? J X X X X S, right?
So, but other things. I mean, the 22s originally, the Savage come out with a 22 high power, was killed like Thor's hammer. They were shooting everything from Bengal tigers with it and everything.
I can't even imagine going after a tiger with a 22. It's like, let's go out in the woods and have some fun
and
get eaten.
It shot a 228 diameter bullet, whereas the standard is a 224 diameter bullet. And then the Hornet come out and it shot 223 diameter bullets. So it they're all over. They were just, whoever was making whatever at the time thought that was a good idea, and so now some of that stuff, the real tight real tight board stuff won't shoot good. The loose board stuff doesn't shoot good. So some of them, before you poo-poo it and you won't do it, try it though, because it will work. And I have a 7x66 Helgar Magnum they call it. It actually shoots a 284 diameter, or no, 288 diameter bullet, and 284 is the standard 7mm.
Okay.
And but mine shoots 150 grain bullets like a champion, so it doesn't care that it's 4,000 undersized.
It doesn't care. It just doesn't care. It doesn't know the difference. I mean, there's times when I tell people, they say something and it's like, well, I just won't tell my gun that there is an option that is a better quality. If it doesn't know, life is going to be good. But if I inform
it's like having kids. If you don't give them a choice, then everything's much better. As soon as they got a choice, you know they're going to pick the hard one, whatever.
Whatever it is. Yeah. So there is a little bit of that. So okay. So some people reload because then it improves their accuracy.
Some people do it just for fun. I mean, I enjoy the loading part more than the shooting. I mean, I could shoot all right. A monkey could do it. There's nothing to hitting stuff with the gun. It's finding a gun that's 150 years old and making a bullet from scratch and making it go. I really enjoy that part of it.
See, and that's it's funny because there's that thing that says that there's a cowboy for every horse, or one of those, because it's like there's a different somebody all over the place. But that's
it's
just
funny
not.
as people look at somebody that has a guitar collection, and I don't know. I don't know a guitar from. I mean, a strawberry shortcake guitar from a Fender Stratocaster or whatever.
Okay.
They're guitars, but I know that some of them cost $15 and some of them cost $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with any other hobby, whether you got golf clubs or I have reloading equipment that would most people would go blind when you tell them what it costs to replace that.
Well,
they start to suffocating in their own.
There is some of that, because it's really funny, because I've been involved in conversations where I say something about that you reload for me, and they're like, reloads, and they say it very derogatorily, and it's like, no, it's a laboratory.
Right. My reloading operation is like a 20 by 46 foot room that's got every kind of a
chunk, and you don't change
right
everything over, right?
Oh, it's got its own milling machine and engine lathe and whatever else you need.
Right, but they're like, reloads. Like, let's just poo that.
I started out, about 1970 with you
You're dating
yellow
yourself.
plastic hammer and one of those old lead loading things that you had to take out of styrofoam and you beat it with the hammer at the kitchen table.
Right.
And the primers would go off once in a while, and Ma would go crazy because you can't shoot the primers off the kitchen table.
Do not, do not make that noise in the kitchen.
So for Christmas, she was working with somebody at a hydraulic jack shop, and apparently they had stopped reloading, and so she bought all of his stuff, not knowing anything about what she bought. She bought
She's like, here, I got you a supply of things.
So I still have that press. It's an RCBS Junior, and it was dated in 1967. And so, it pretty much ain't got no paint on it, but it's still
1967. So what is it set up to run?
It's a single stage press for you can load any kind of a bullet on it. So.
Interesting. So an early Christmas present. Isn't that funny? The things that you remember and that you covet. We'll be back.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Rangemaster certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so we are back. People are sending us stuff, and some of it is gun related, and some of it is not gun related. There's a dude who's rebuilding his car, and you got to appreciate that. But he's rebuilding it out of bricks,
and then with a cement glaze over top, and it looks just like a regular car when you're done.
Right. Well, he won't have traction problems on the right-hand side of his car. That is. We're back to there is
magnetic too.
A cowboy for every horse. And he's like, look, Mom, look how nice my car looks now.
Do you know I've been watching that stuff with the Bruin case.
Oh, have we all? We have all been watching. I mean, it's so funny that the loser is the name that is going to be famous, but okay, keep going.
Well, that's because the other one is so long and drawn out that no one wants to say all that.
Yeah.
And if you give it initials, then no one knows what it means. So Bruin works
Bruin works better. Got it. Mm-hmm.
And I think, too, wasn't a Bruin like for a big bear that doesn't like to take orders or something?
Maybe, yes.
So anyhow, Hawaii is having to change some of their permitting processes. New York is having to change some of their permitting processes.
New Jersey is changing their permitting processes.
New Jersey is actually going above and beyond what everyone else.
They're actually following the intent of Bruin to a point.
The other ones are fighting tooth and nail, yet they are making some progress in that direction. But the other part that's funny is nothing says how long you have to wait in line. So one of the articles is in New York, long lines. So they got one guy working on getting you a permit now. For
the entire state of New York is a dude. It's staffed. There you go. Well, remember when Ohio passed their concealed carry and the
the best part was they put in a thing where it says it had to happen in a certain amount of time.
In 45 days, but Cleveland and so Cuyahoga County said, we can't even start to do this. Our 45 days doesn't apply because we're not going to take your application until after we build a building and hire people.
So
they were like, yeah,
the next county over, though, was standing out first day handing out coffee and donuts.
Here, have a donut, right? Because we're having a party right here in the parking lot. And, I mean, and that county was smart because it's actually an income stream. There is a spot,
in New York, and that they've gone through and they've made some rules about what they have to do to get a permit and everything. But the rules are kind of generalities, so that no one knows for sure what you're really supposed to do.
I thought the other part was slightly convoluted, and in some cases they're saying you have to take these classes, but then they haven't defined what the classes are.
Right, so
you have to take some yet undefined classes that we'll tell you about when you fail to meet the criteria.
Right. So some of it's probably gonna have to wait till it goes through some court cases and more people get sued, and but at least they're trying a little bit.
Right. At least they're
a little bit.
Very little bit. But okay.
Last week they had a thing where one of the judges for a case just threw it out of court using the old standards.
Oh, that was in the Ninth Circuit, wasn't it? And they threw it back to so the Supreme Court threw it back to the Ninth Circuit. The Ninth Circuit threw it back even further. They threw it back to the district court. But one of the things, because Paul and I were talking about that. So Paul from the Bullet Second Amendment Foundations, he's director of new media, but he does a show, but he does a show every day and Saturdays and talks about timely things. And in that show, in one of the shows, we were talking about the fact that they had thrown it back from the ninth district to the circuit court. So they're pushing it smaller and smaller. And the reason, in my opinion, they're pushing it smaller or pushing it lower is to push it smaller, so that whatever decision they're forced to make has application in that area only. So if the Supreme Court makes the determination, it's everybody. If the ninth district, it's multiple states. If the circuit court does it, it's the area that the circuit court covers. And
but
so
the thing is, because a lot of these are operating under this Bruin, it basically sets a standard that the next guy is looking at, because he's not really sure what happened in 1790 either. So he's got to.
So Bruin's sending a lot of people back to history class. So they're like, a lot of them can't even count to 1790, let alone identify what happened in 1790.
But we're seeing, we know that West Virginia allows people under age of 21 to carry a handgun if they buy a special permit, and that Kansas also allows for adults under 21 to.
Right.
But Texas now, they've recently picked up two people. One was 18 and one was 20, I think.
So yeah, 18, about 18 to 20 year olds.
They had handguns in their possession, but I didn't really see what they were doing with them. But they were both arrested, and because they were underage, that seemed to be what the law was concerned about.
And this is where we've talked about this a little bit. This is where, when the lawsuits come out, typically you see. It used to be you saw the NRA, and you're not seeing them involved nearly as much. And I think do the go figure. I think they're busy. But the Second Amendment Foundation is actively engaged in lawsuit after lawsuit, as is the Firearms Policy Coalition. And so this is a Firearms Policy Coalition lawsuit. And the interesting thing is that this was a federal district judge in Texas, and he struck down a state law preventing young adults in the 18 to 20-year-old age group from legally carrying a sidearm. So Texas had a law that said, and this is a Dave Workman story that's in Amaland, just so if you want to reference the story. So Texas had a law that said that if you were between 18 and 20 years old, 18 to 21, just shy of 21, that you could not have a gun to carry for personal protection. And this judge has struck that down. So we're going to delve more into what that means and what Kansas means in some of the other states when we come back from the commercial break, because we are coming back. So you stay tuned, and I and the Target will return.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution. to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the backseat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
Okay, so we are back talking about young adults, 18 to just shy of 21 years old. And
I think the reason that it starts at 18 is because in this article,
yes,
the youngest player at that point is 18.
But you've been calling it that it's going to be more. It's going to be younger.
When you read into Judge Pittman's thing here, he states that because if you are part of the national community,
right?
And so anyhow, as part of the national community, then you are a citizen. And here in the thing, he puts that constitutionally exercise their constitutionally protected rights, include freedoms of speech and the Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable search and seizures. So, I mean, you could be asking an 8-year-old or a 5-year-old, and they would be able to meet those qualifications also.
So Pittman noticed that the debates over the ratification of the 14th Amendment do not include any discussion about whether it should apply to 18-year-olds or limited to those over the age of 21. So this is one of those things that you've been kind of talking about a little bit, is saying that Bruin, at some point, they're going to dive into this, and society is going to talk about what age they think should be the limit.
Society is going to have that say.
They're going to be successful.
It's going to go back to the ultimate in
1790.
When you're what your mom said. That's the thing. Is that you got to go ask the supreme being as to what should I be able to do, or what would make good sense. And if your mom says no, then apparently no.
Well, okay. I think that
the thing we got to look at is we have to remember that criminals are criminals, and instead of blaming the gun or the age, it's the criminal, and we have to to look at it that way. What was the person doing with it? I mean,
but But okay, so I'm like, you're going to go off on another track, and I stay on this track for a minute. So, what happens if the mom who you're saying is going to make the decision? What happens if mom is not a smart mom or does not make smart decisions on her own self? And I want to pull up a story to use as an example so that we can go back. And that is that there was a New Orleans, there was an, I can't say the Akili, AKILI Academy student in New Orleans who was arrested. She's 12 years old. She was arrested, as was her mother, because the mom said, oh, well, she was being bullied and she needed to protect herself. So the girl got off the bus from being bullied, supposedly, went to a car, got a gun, went back to the bus, and tried to get on the bus, making the statement that she's going to fix this. And mom was defending her right to fix this. I'm doing air quotes for those of you who are not watching us on TV.
Here's the deal when you look at this as a concealed carry thing. When she went to the car and then she went back to the bus, that's where the problem started.
Right.
So at that point, she now is a criminal.
She is the aggressor.
But prior to that, had she had that gun in her pocket and she just pulled it out on the bus, now you have to look at the circumstances at that point.
Right.
There's a spot here where if this makes it a thing that the Fourth Amendment and that is going to change it to 12-year-olds are allowed to have a gun, but they're not allowed to threaten people or brandish or whatever at this point.
So yeah, it's
going to be moving downhill.
I think it's moving downhill. I get it, but
good decisions may still abound, and if you break the law, you're going to break the law. But
and that would be the thing. The woman says nobody was stopping the bullying, so her daughter took action. Like she's applauding this action that the daughter took, and I'm thinking, what action did the parent take about the fact that she was being bullied? Was there nowhere in this, was there any report that there was a report to the school, that the school was involved, that the bus driver was aware? There was nothing.
Or so he had 3 nose punches and
right. So did any of that happen, or was it solely I'm being bullied?
Is first offense thing, and she's.
I'm pulling this. I have heard that being bullied is an excuse for other people, and so I've kept it in my pocket as an opportunity, so that should I do something wrong, my justification for anything that I do wrong is it's society's fault, and I have been bullied, right? So there's going to have to be a line somewhere, and that line is it crosses age and common sense. But the problem is
there's lots of those lines, and they intersect all the way up through your lifetime.
I get it.
And there's a spot where sometimes, even though common sense and law-abidingness veers a little bit to the right or to the left, and yours continue straight on, you may not be always in the right, but you're not to be dealt with harshly on your own.
We're headed to a spot where it's gonna be very interesting. But right now, I mean, we're looking at New Orleans is dealing with something.
She went to the car and got an axe and went back to the school bus. Would that have made it to the news?
Oh yeah, yeah. So a 12-year-old potential axe murderer.
When I was a kid, they had an axe on the bus, so you wouldn't have to leave the bus at that point.
Right. So
I don't know if they still have an axe on the bus.
I've not asked a school bus driver lately if there is an axe on the bus. I don't know that there's axes in schools, where it used to be that there was an axe so you could. I don't know what. I am not quite sure what you're supposed to do with the axe that they had issued to you, right?
Obstacles.
Look, something's on fire. So quick, chop down a tree. I mean, what?
No, but you can chop down a door or something like that. So someone set the fire and then lock the door so that you can't get there until the fire gets big enough that you can't do anything about it. Now you can keep something about it.
Maybe. I don't know.
And then else, it keeps you busy. It's kind of like boiling water when you're having a baby. It keeps you busy and out of the other guy's way. Well, he's
There you
actually
go.
fighting the fire.
What is your job? Your job is to grab the axe. I don't know what I'm grabbing it for. I don't know what I'm doing with it, but I'm grabbing it. You boil water, I'll grab the axe. I'll go chop down a tree. Maybe my tree chopping is to give you fuel to boil the water.
There's still common sense has to play a part in this,
Right.
and
So,
then being a good person plays a part in this.
Here's a question. We have abdicated for so long, not my fault, man, that common sense and personal responsibility and making decisions aren't necessarily, they're not out there anymore. Let's look at...
Well, in the old days, that bully, they would have pulled the bully and the other one out.
And punched him in the nose.
Let them beat each other senseless while the school was watching the
to make sure that no one got hurt badly.
It got somewhat fair. And
a couple judicious
noise
punches.
Now everybody's so happy. As soon as someone decides to throw a punch, now we're going to a court. And,
right. Not my fault, man, and I'm gonna get a lawyer.
Everyone's afraid of being named in the thing because it's all costs money.
So I mean, I honestly believe that that we're at this precipice that we're going to have to, and it's going to take some time to figure out. It's sort of like, have you heard on the news lately, the whole thing where everybody's talking about quiet quitting? Every society is quiet quitting. No. So what is quiet?
That means you ain't got the guts to go in and tell them you quit. And
but is it that did you stop doing your job and you're waiting for them to fire you, or is quiet quitting the thing that you are actually doing your job as is defined to you, no more, no less, and so they've given this a name for no more, no overachievement.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. In the old days, they would force you to work overtime and try to make you do your job and someone else's job and everything like this. So pretty soon, now you're a 3-man team all by yourself.
A singular. So is quiet quitting really quitting, or is quiet quitting setting boundaries that say, you pay me to do this job, I'm doing that job? So it's really interesting, again, defining where the boundaries, defining where the rules are, and do you just say enough is enough?
As a country, we are. It's kind of weird the way that we pay and stuff. I remember back when Jimmy Carter was president. People were making like $3 an hour, $4 an hour at the beginning of his presidential term, and when the interest rates got to 24% and the gasoline got to $2, and they started paying more and more. So you come out the other end at $12, $14 an hour. Some people quit their jobs. Some people were able to hold on and get another job or get the same job but more money. I think we're at a spot in society today where they've been whining about this $15 minimum wage. As they make our money worth less and less money, it doesn't they could assign whatever number they want to it, and it doesn't really matter because they're just stealing it out the bottom. And eventually, you've seen these countries in Africa where they just put like 5 zeros on the back of their money or whatever.
Right.
I mean,
here's a wheelbarrow full, give me bread.
The Italians did that where it was 25,000 lira to buy movie tickets or something like that. It's like they just keep adding zeros to the end to make your money look like you're doing something. We're getting to that spot right now, and
I just think we're in a transition, and that transition has got so many moving pieces. And I'm watching, and I think, all the time there's a transition and something's driving it. In this case, I think that what's driving it this time is going to be the Second Amendment. And so this Bruin case is going to drive it. We'll be back and we'll talk more.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolk and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, we are back. So you know what we did or didn't did is we did not, somehow we just talked right through the history section without a speck of history.
What do you mean? We talked about some reloading and weird stuff.
Okay. So is that enough?
About other weird stuff?
Well,
I mean, there's lots of it. I mean,
there is lots of it. I just want to say we're kind of off the schedule, and I don't know how or why, but it just has been happening.
Well, we were talking about some of the ammo that you can't hardly find, like 35 Remingtons. It seems like it was real popular. I mean, West Virginians like it because it kills good. They tell me.
Okay.
Bonnie and Clyde didn't argue about how it works, so apparently it must do its job.
So did they send a thank you letter for it along with the one that they sent to Ford about how good the Ford ran?
It's funny that the Germans used a 12 millimeter case head on their stuff. And the Mannlicher, who was, I guess he's Austrian, but he used an 11 millimeter case head on his cartridges, and so it's kind of weird when the standard cartridge uses one base cartridge and then they step up and down a little bit in the meantime. But our country, we pretty much just copied whatever they were using. So, like the 35 Remington is part of that 11 millimeter case head family. So, like 6.5 by 54 Mannlicher Schonar and some of the Mannlicher cartridges of the day, the Italian 6.5 by 52.
So if they had a certain thing at a certain diameter that would make it easy for them to just make it a different length or neck it down or whatever, why did they keep making it slightly different?
Some of it they needed to make it bigger due to the fact that they wanted more power, and at the time gunpowder could only do just so much stuff, so bigger was the way to do it. Black powder, a lot of the times when they went to an express cartridge, basically it was the same cartridge case. They just cut the bullet weight and filled it up with as much black powder as they could hold in the thing. Or sometimes they went from where the cartridge could hold, say, 45-70, they would make it so it would hold 120. So 45-120 it would be how they would make it more powerful. And but once smokeless powder came out, they could put more powder in than the gun could take and usually blow themselves up. So they were able to just...
so they can't just fill it up like they used to. Right? Yeah.
That's a lot of the reason why. Back in the old days, the gun company used to sell you reloading equipment or give it with the gun. So a lot of times there's really fancy tools out there that's got a bullet mold and all the stuff. So when you're sitting around a campfire, you can make bullets from scratch.
That makes so much sense to sit there with loose gunpowder right around the campfire.
But when you're 800 miles from the closest Walmart and another maybe 160 years away from Walmart filling up there, right. It takes, you have to think of other steps at that point.
And when the sunlight's out, you're busy moving on or hunting, and
But when the smokeless powder came out, they pretty much stopped with the reload, and that's why every reload manual you buy a new gun, it says, "Do not use reloads in your gun," right? Mm-hmm. Because they can't guarantee the quality of the reload, and so it may turn your gun into a hand grenade just because somebody got the wrong kind of gunpowder.
Or it may. Some of them. Let's talk about this because I think this is an interesting aspect. Some of them may, if you really overpower it, it will hand grenade. But in a lot of cases, like pistols, they're designed to depressurize down through the magazine.
Right, well, a lot of the guns have safety valves built into them.
Okay, so talk about that because I don't know that many people know that when you're holding your gun and the magazine spring is hanging out the bottom and it looks like a jack in the box.
And the auto loading pistol, a lot of the back of the case is not supported. It's an unsupported chamber, they call it. And so if it releases, it will just open up and then it blows that pressure down through that grip. And it's not supposed to hurt you, but it usually destroys the magazine. Sometimes it will blow the grips off of it. Mm-hmm. So you may get some fragments of wood or something in your hand. Rifles, on the other hand, they have, if you look at them, a lot of them have little vent holes on the side of the action. So if a case were to rupture for some reason...
So if you can look in and you can see a piece of the brass, that's in effect the chimney if things go south.
But even on the rifle ones, you can't see the brass like that. But but it's set up, there's rails that run down the side of the rifle. And so it's set up so when it blows out a primer, it blows a case or something, it runs down that rail and then it's supposed to off-gas out the side of the gun. Sometimes it does that and it blows the wood off the gun, but it doesn't blow the bolt out in your face or something.
Okay.
The early Mausers, if you look at a pre-98 Mauser, they don't have a skirt around the cocking piece.
Okay, so you need to describe the skirt and the cocking piece, so what that means.
Well, on a 98 Mauser, the bolt is set up so the gas running down the rail would come down this bolt thing to a 90-degree wall, and then it comes out the side of the gun. On the 96, the 95, 94, 93s, they don't have that wall.
They forgot to put the deflector in, or
well,
they
didn't know that
hadn't
they needed the
it.
deflector at that point.
Okay.
And so the deflector, it allows that hot brass and gas and
everything to
pieces
come
of
back exactly where your
gunpowder
eyeball
right
is.
into your face. So you end up with this burn marks on your face or pieces of brass or stuff like this. Also on the 98, they put a third locking lug on the gun so that when the first two that are up close to the chamber release, it comes back and catches on the third one. Destroying the rifle, but keeping it from sticking in your head.
Okay, that's a good safety aspect. I'd prefer all of my gun pieces to stay outside of my head.
There's some guns that were built like a Ross. If you look at the Canadian Ross, you could put the bolt in one way and it worked fine. And if you put the bolt together the other way, it would blow the bolt out and stick in your head at that point. And so the 1905, 1910 Ross were not very popular guns due to the fact that no one really had that. Was it the right way or the wrong way down to a science at that point?
So, and it wasn't like your coffee pot that's got the red light, the white light thing that tells you chose wisely.
If you did it the way that they taught you, everything was fine. But if you did it the other way, then it wasn't fine. But you didn't know at the time, and you probably didn't know after that time either.
You didn't know anything after the time. Well, that's interesting because it's like, oh, I made a mistake, and we work so hard to make every mistake recoverable, and in this case it was not.
Right, but if you look at look at your gun and look at how it's put together. Some things are built so the chamber locks, some of them are built so that the bolts turn into place and lock like a safe door and stuff like this. The more locking features you have, then the safer the gun is. It may move a little bit and incapacitate the gun, but it can't get to you to kill you with the parts that are flying off it.
And that would be a great design safety aspect.
Well, if you look at the ARs, there's a lot of people who have ARs. They post them online all the time of where somebody put a 300 blackout in a 223 barrel. Normally, they wouldn't have made a gun like that, except for that somebody made it outside of the SAMI spec.
Right, outside of the norm, yeah.
And so it got popular before it got to be a dangerous problem.
Okay.
But so a fully loaded 300 blackout will go into a 223 chamber with no problem. It's just you can't squeeze a 308 bullet down a 223 hole.
Yeah.
So that's where the problem lies. And you'll see these ARs occasionally, they're blown apart. Most of the people come away with virtually no.
So the people they have survived the encounter because the design of the gun forces it outward, sideways, not backwards.
It destroys the gun totally, but it does not get the shooter involved in the.
Okay, in the danger. So wow, that's an interesting way to end hour one of High on the Target Radio. So we'll be back right after this, folks.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Shooter standby.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Okay, so we are back. You know, when I was doing the research for the story that we were talking about, for the young adults, 18 to 21-year-olds, and being able to carry, and what's happening with the Bruin case and how that goes, I ran into something else that was kind of embedded in the story that I thought was pretty interesting. Kansas has had constitutional carry for 5 years. And so we're looking at where the United States is with constitutional carry right now, and we have 25 states that have constitutional carry. So that's half, and well, actually I think it's 24 that are in effect right now. One's passed, goes into effect in January. But so many people are like, well, can I get a license? Do I need to get a license? Why would I get a license after the state passes constitutional carry? So with Kansas being a little more mature in its constitutional carry, that noise has settled down. People have decided the path that they're going to take, and that. So they had applications that were running, 7,000, 8,000 new applications in a state that already had mature concealed carry, which means that new applications versus renewals. So the whole thing of renewals and then the new applications. Then with constitutional carry, that has dropped in half, but it hasn't gotten smaller than that. So many people are deciding that I don't need a license because I'm staying in the state. I'm not traveling. I don't go anywhere, and so it doesn't really apply to me.
A lot of people never leave home.
Right. And so constitutional carry will meet the criteria for them because of that. But there are a lot of people, who say, no, I'm going to renew my license, or people who are coming of age or coming of a change in their lifestyle, and they're going to.
Who have bought a hunting license for years and years and haven't gone hunting because they want to support
they're
that.
Supporting.
And same with the concealed carry. They went and got the paperwork. They saw it because they want to support the right to do that stuff.
Do you think it's because they want to support it, or they say, well, I may want to drive to Florida, or I may want to go someplace else, and I don't want to. I'm not giving up that option.
They don't even own a gun. They just want to make sure that the number of concealed carry permits was high enough that people don't say, "See, I told you."
Okay, well, there is that. I mean, I see a lot of people who took their class and then never bought a gun, but I don't see a lot who have gotten their permit and not bought a gun, or at least I can't say I've not seen a lot. I've not recognized it if I had seen them, because they had not identified themselves to me in that aspect. What else is really interesting is I had somebody, we were at the fair. This week was our fair. And I had somebody walk up, and it was a husband and wife, and the wife says, "Yeah, my husband's got a concealed carry." And he turns and he looks at her like, "Really?" And so since I was having the conversation, I was like, that's one of those things where you don't really go in and you offer. It's concealed, it's hidden for a reason. And so you may want to instead rephrase that to say, I know people who have concealed carries.
Maybe she would say, my husband will beat you up. And he would say,
really? He will punch your nose. No, but the look on his face was, honey, that's a secret for a reason. And I was like, I got you, girl. I fully understand kind of where he is with it. But yeah. So Have you had people do that to you, though? One walks up and tells you the other one's got one?
No, I haven't. But locally, they're having a gun buyback, even though we don't have buybacks because they didn't own them in the first place.
Right, it's not really
the
a
funny
buyback.
part is they're paying pretty good. I mean, I may take some stuff myself.
Yeah, so there's this thing where you can dig through your stuff that has no
it says
value.
working or non-working, and then the thing I don't understand, it says handguns $100, and then it says automatic is $250. Is that they're talking machine gun, or are they talking semi-automatic rifles, or what is the? Because rifles and shotguns are in the $200 category, which there's a ton of shotguns out there that you could buy for well under $200.
Right.
And
no questions asked. Gift cards are limited and subject to availability. Huh.
So you gotta get there early. Starts at 10 a.m. At the Frederick Douglass Center at 1001 Indiana Avenue
in Toledo.
In Toledo on September 10th.
So are you going to make a road trip so that you're going to? How many guns have you broken that are still sitting there with its little carcass?
I got guns that look like guns, but there's no guts inside anymore and stuff. I mean,
you could take a box.
take all these parts because I needed this part or that part or the other part, and so
Channel 13, ABC News, the announcement mentioned a residency, but then there's no questions asked. So if no questions are asked, how are they asking your residency if they're not asking you any questions? That would be considered a question, in my opinion, right? When they open their mouth and say what or how or where,
I think
those are
was that gold member.
there. When you start a question with where or what
or when,
those are questions.
Like
they're not statements.
Yeah, it sounds like there's questions in there.
Right, no questions asked. So yeah, and there are no limits that a resident can
There
drop
is no
off.
indication how the residency would be determined, as this is no questions asked.
Right, there is. It's that. They're like, you're asking. Wait. You're asking a question. I can't answer that. That's no questions. It says no questions. I'm going to go as Marcel Marceau.
No answers either.
Wearing my little black and white and my white gloves. Right.
No questions, no answers.
Right. If you are pantomiming everything, they can't answer the questions. But
did you buy one of those? What do they call them? A solvent trap things online, or did you buy this suppressor thing that looks like a flashlight, but they say it's a fuel filter or whatever?
No, because I fully expect the ATF to come knocking on my door.
What's going on is the ATF is coming knocking on people's doors, especially if you bought something online at this gunbroker auctions of what is it?
Rifle Remedy 2000 was the gunbroker seller's name.
But there's other people that are selling the same stuff in that, but this guy, they went into his house and collected his.
My Facebook page came up with these Chinese. It was like a Wish, the Wish seller thing, or when you make the mistake of Googling something and all of a sudden you get ads for
So
for
next
whatever.
thing you know, you're getting snow tires on every day.
Well, no, in my case, I got the Chinese fuel filter adapter that looked like it needed a Class 3 license to go with it, right?
Well, that's the thing. Some of the people on here had bought that stuff, and then they had actually filed a Form 1 and continued making it into a thing. And so this is apparently what has triggered some of this. And then some of it, they've actually, the ATF says, well, you bought more stuff than it takes to make one piece, even though you filed one Class 1 form on the thing. So they're starting to push their luck. So if you bought any of this stuff, you might want to have a good story worked up.
Move, change your phone number, and cancel that credit card.
Right. Also, forced reset triggers are also in the news. So if you bought any of that, you might want to move or
make sure. Yeah, because the thing is the Bruin.
They show pictures of some of the letters and that these people have got and everything. So, but you kind of knew it was coming before the.
So here's Pacific Northwest Woods was one of our listeners, says we would make slam fire 20 gauges in 1990 with pipe and a nail in the cap. I could make one for about $20. It's super unsafe, but it does work. But alas, it is illegal in Washington State because of tyranny. Well, there's unsafe, there's illegal, there's a little bit of all that. But I bet you could bring them to Toledo with the no questions asked residency requirement.
If you make them out of old pipe, then they don't know how long they've
been around. Exactly. So
I don't have a serial number.
I know, the whole no questions asked.
Speaking of no serial number.
We're going to be back right after this. You're going to have to speak of it after the commercial break.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so as we were headed for a commercial break, you said, speaking of serial numbers.
Well, on the 25th, which was a couple days ago,
yes,
the judge says that Biden's ghost gun stuff goes into effect, and they couldn't stop it.
Okay.
So, if you were buying one of the Polymer 80 kits or any of the other kits, they have to have a serial number after that point and be sold through an FFL.
Okay.
So it's almost like we should all just send whatever block of wood, steel, plastic you got to the ATF
And
for
say, please
serial number clarification.
Issue us a serial number. Where do I put the serial number on this block of wood before I carve it into something? So the interesting thing is that today that came in over the wire is the Polymer 80 is continuing to sell 80% lowers. So I don't know how. So I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm sure that they've got way better lawyers than the fact that I don't have one. So I'm curious and I'm interested. And
not interested enough to buy one though, right?
Not interested enough to hire a lawyer to help me sort it out. No.
You'll wait till they get it under control.
I'm not interested. I'm not interested enough to buy a Polymer 80 kit. No, I think that's a cool thing. I'm not interested in hiring the lawyer to find out the what and the why that's going on right now.
You've seen from the guys who were doing this solvent traps, you want to buy a Polymer 80 lower today with the fact that the ATF may be at your house?
Knocking on my door, right? I look at the ATF sort of like I look at the string bikini panties. I work really hard to keep them out of there, right? I mean, that's my goal for all of that. And so I don't welcome that at all. And so we'll leave it at that. But should others, I'm very interested in being a spectator and seeing how it works. I
Also,
just am not interested in partaking.
If you're in Florida, good luck because Giffords is expanding their horizons to a Florida field office now in the Miami-Dade area.
Okay, so they're looking for a winter home is what they're looking for, right?
I think they already come from Arizona. It's pretty wintry
Well,
home there.
they're headquartered in Washington, D.C., and it has more than $5 million in assets in Washington, D.C. They have a law center in San Francisco with more than $10 million in assets in San Francisco. So the Florida office only has a measly $1 million in assets. So obviously they're not yet expecting.
I think they just took $1 million from the other guys to start open the office. So
I don't.
They apparently must think that it's a lucrative market, or they wouldn't have moved there in the first place, right?
Right. I don't.
So they're looking for anti-gun politicians to back with their viewpoints, and it says that some of the anti-gun is that they're actually backing. I won't mention them because they don't need free publicity. It just says that they hold extreme anti-gun views, and that a lot of the stuff has already been proven to be not constitutionally effective. So,
right. So yeah. So it is going to be interesting to watch what is happening. So the Giffords Foundation issued a press release this week announcing Giffords, Florida. So yeah, there you go. So supporting candidates in local, state, and federal offices for people who have the courage to fight gun violence. I have to tell you, here's one of my things, and I support the Second Amendment, and I'm in Ohio, and our governor does not necessarily support the Second Amendment. He has this vision of, I think it's called Safer Ohio or I don't know what it's named. It's named something. And so every opportunity he gets to kind of shove in a little more anti-gun rhetoric, he can. Well, the governor came to our fair in our county this week, and so I got to escort him around. And so in the escorting him around, I was very polite and very professional, and I wore my Women for Gun Rights t-shirt while I did it. So that was my my quiet quitting. No, something like that. Right? So it was the protest within the protest, and so we'll see if pictures of me with the governor show up that have the DC Project logo on them, and I didn't use the DC Project gun shirt. I used the DC Project verbiage shirt, but
so
so
you have to be able to read to understand that it was a gun shirt.
Yes.
So that takes out half of the
we'll see.
Ohio.
We'll see, but it's. I just thought it was just my little homage to.
Here's some stuff about criminals. Here's a guy who pulled a gun out that looks like a gun but wasn't really a gun, and the police shot him to death.
Okay. So they're trying to get the Indiana police officers. They were trying to charge them with a crime because the criminal pointed a gun at them that looked like a gun. They said it was a gun. They acted like it was a gun.
Actually, days before this, had mentioned that he wanted to commit suicide, and he has mental illness and has been threatening to commit suicide.
So he was reportedly dealing with mental illness. In a lot of cases,
somebody who is of sound mind and body would say that you're crazy to pull a gun out
on a police officer and tell a police officer that I'm pointing a gun at you, but don't do anything about it.
And it was a SWAT team that rolled up, and he pulls the gun out on the SWAT team, and so the other police officers that were there in the thing and shot him multiple times, I believe, in the head.
So it was a handgun that appeared to be a Glock,
but airsoft. It was so good that it was hard for the officers. There's no way the officers could tell that it wasn't a real gun. And then
so he pulled it from his pocket and quickly pointed it at an officer who was accompanying the negotiator. He'd been struck in the head, torso, and hip. But unfortunately there's a spot where you play stupid games, and sometimes you don't get to go home. And the officers deserve the right to get to go home. We'll be back.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough? Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Okay, so in coming back, somebody made a comment that having an opportunity to meet with a governor like that is not insignificant, and perhaps somebody will read the shirt and say, "What does that mean?"
Well, everybody's paying attention to what he's doing somewhere along the line. So,
yeah.
During the break, we talk about this firearms legal protection. We both have it, and that as you are seeing more and more people today are involved. I mean, there's shootings in the news every day, whether you're a shooter or a shootee.
Right.
This kind of stuff may come in handy, and it's very reasonably priced. There's, especially if you're a constitutional carry holder now, you might think about some of these insurance policies. They're not very expensive. They're pretty comprehensive, and
they protect yourself and your family. I mean, and we've heard horror stories, absolute horror stories. That do you have an extra $20,000 or $30,000 in the bank that you can just pull out to cover a lawyer?
It's not. I mean, the base plan is pretty cheap. The other ones are very reasonable. So
right, it's very budget conscious, and when you really look at it, it's not a price that is out of anybody's price range. It really isn't.
Well, let's talk about this. DeSantis is making friends in Broward County.
Broward County. So Governor DeSantis, I was talking to somebody, people don't know who Governor DeSantis is. And
it's funny,
Florida
it's two strong Second Amendment governors, and Florida and South Dakota have them. It wouldn't surprise me if they teamed up and ran for president eventually. And
I think that our video producer's in South Dakota, and he refuses to give up his governor.
I hope that no one brings her horse to D.C. when she comes.
That would be good. That would be absolutely good. So so there was a grand jury that finally got around to making a report for the 2018 shootings in the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. So think about this. Grand jury report 2018 to now. So it's 4 years later. 4. It took 4 years. I know that the wheels of justice turn slowly, but this isn't slowly. This is glacial speed, right? This is how slow the glacier moved from
So in the
Alaska
meantime,
down.
the governor has gone through and he's thrown some of the members of these.
So they had really the grand jury report was not complimentary to multiple members of the school board, and they said that these, according to the report, the district officials and ousted board members displayed an almost fanatical desire to control data and use it to manipulate public perception, and were seemingly more interested in building the district's brand than in treating students like statistics. So this is the school board. This is, and we're all looking at it going, what is going on? We see other schools that have similar.
He threw some of these people out of their job, but one of them has already been elected to be a senator.
One of them quit the school board and ran for state senate. So, okay, there's a promotion for that one. Imagine that. So what happened in part of the thing, so remember, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Parkland School happened in 2018. They had a school safety and education program approved by the county in 2014 with $1 billion, and it was supposed to be completed by 2021 and implemented in stages. And now they're saying that it won't be finished until 2025. They were slow walking it.
It's going to cost $1.5
billion. So half again as much.
$1 billion is a lot of money, so it takes a lot longer to siphon off your share
of $1 billion.
You can just take it in big chunks. It's hard to cover that.
Some of the school board members that had been very loud about the deficiencies were parents that children or spouses, they were actively involved in the Marjorie Douglas Stoneman School. When someone in their immediate circle was killed, they ran for school board because they said somebody needs to fix it.
So a couple of people have got their jobs on the school board since the shooting.
Since then, because they're like, this has got to be fixed. And so they are cheering on the fact that these others have left. So they have an annual budget of $4 billion, this school. They have 270,000 students and 333 campuses. So, they're running a small country. They really are. And as you watch after the Parkland thing, you would see the Broward County School District in the news multiple times for multiple other crazy reasons. So this has big repercussions.
When you look at the just amount of buildings and 333 campuses and 270,000, you would think that that's too large to control, and they would have broke it up into smaller.
Just smaller, but they run it by the county, and it's Broward County, and so this is that. So they have a group of people who have no experience that get promoted into being the school board to run it, and it has 9 board members, and
right.
Yeah, so 4 of them are now out of a job. One of them resigned last year when he was indicted for allegedly lying to the grand jury. One of them was promoted. So of the 9, that gives us 6 that are off the radar.
Well, two of them were replaced by people who got voted in since then. So
yeah, but those probably were the school superintendent and the senator, the replacements, but don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But so there's 3 that are that are giving a sigh of relief, but frankly, there should have been enough to be able to, with 9 board members and 4 being found deficient, you should have been able to override them. But we'll see.
And it's funny because how many people don't pay any attention to the local school district or what's going on? I mean, it's like, they just take the kids and do whatever they want with them and bring them back at the end of the day.
Just give me my kids back at the end of the day. We'll be all good. No, that's not.
They look at them as a babysitter.
That's not the circle I run in. Let me tell you, the circle I run in are parents who have gotten involved and they go, wait, this is insane.
I think more people today are paying attention than say 5 years ago. But I mean, 5 years ago, a lot of people used the public school system as their babysitter, and whatever they were taught, they were taught. I mean, once they get to about the 4th grade and you quit doing their homework, you quit asking too many questions.
You quit, yeah. Yeah, so I'm trying to read this. It says, when schools have that large of a budget and most kids and their parents are there for a few years and then gone, no real oversight over the long term, the ability of school administrator corruption is more clear. Yeah, I think there is an opportunity there. I think that,
right, you think about
a billion here, a billion there.
The school's messed up, but yet you graduated and you're out of there. So
and you're like, you're fine. You survived, brush it off, shake it off. We're good, right? I think that there's so much that's not fine. And I think that so many homeschool parents are now learning stuff. I have to say that I truly enjoy.
Let's cover this story, then we'll go to the break, and then we'll get that one on there.
I truly enjoy the parents that went to the school board meetings and started reading books and were told they weren't allowed to read pornography. And they were like, well, this was the reading assignment for my high schooler, so you're hearing it because they're reading it, right? I think those are great. Okay, so a Georgia man claims that his shooting was self-defense. And it's a story by Tom Knighton. But, so what do you...
Well, he's claiming castle doctrine type of stuff where he's in they're both people are in a car, 2 different cars. The one car tried to force the other one off the road. So the guy in the back that's being forced off the road, apparently, it shot at the other car, killing the passenger in the car.
So Mark Wilson, 23, faces life in prison if convicted of a felony in the death of Haley Hutchison, and she is 17 years old. The defense attorneys acknowledged that Wilson fired the shot that killed Hutchison on a bypass circling the southeast Georgia city of Statesboro the night of June 24th of 2020. He says... So the attorneys say that he did it to fend off an attack. And so there was they said it was a road rage kind of issue.
So it's road rage for sure. And then it's also, I mean, if you've got a little dinky car and somebody in a pickup truck, how
right, I think
where does your self-defense versus...
well, there is a spot of where does your self-defense go, but how clear is it? The problem, or one of the pieces of the problem is...
Well, he was on a roundabout, so isn't there some way that he could
get off of the roundabout?
Or, that's the thing, some of this we're not privy to, so is there a way that he could have got away from that situation?
And that's what you always want to know. So the other part is that Wilson has offered contradictory statements to the police. So this is to all of you. If you're carrying a gun, when you make a statement to the police, you need your lawyer so that you make a concise, clear, concise, singular statement and not go and then. We'll be back.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolk and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough? Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Okay, so, there's this poll. Well, another poll. There's another poll and another poll and another poll. They run these polls about guns and gun control and gun crime. And, it's back to that old question, sir, have you stopped beating your wife?
Well, some of it is if you don't get the right answer, you rephrase the poll and go back at it again.
Well, there is that, or they ask a question in a manner to where you can't answer it. Have you stopped beating your wife? So do you say, yes, I have stopped beating my wife? Or no, I guess I continue to beat my wife. So there is no answer that satisfies the question in the manner in which you want to say, I have never beat my wife. Right? But that's sort of how you get some of these. So they're saying, the headline says that Americans want stricter gun laws. And it says 52% of Americans say that it is very important to prevent mass shootings. Honestly, I believe that ought to be 100% think it's very important to prevent mass shootings. I don't know that we all would agree on how we prevent them, but we're all
I think that
in
some
agreement
of them realize that the question was somewhat pointed, so that's
or
why they had answered that way.
tainted. Right. It's not just tainted love, it's a tainted question. Right. And then the other one is the other statement is it's important to ensure that people are able to own guns for personal protection. Well, they ignored that portion of it because they're just saying that 71% of the respondents prefer stricter gun laws. Yeah.
But they don't say what stricter actually is. So that was
right.
part of it too.
Where did they get that? If only 52% want to prevent mass shootings, then where are they getting the stricter gun law stuff, right? It just is, it's, so they're trying to push public sentiment on banning AR-15s. You've heard people, I tune into Twitter and I watch what's being said on the gun front. And they're saying that the AK-15s and the AR-47s need to go, right?
The big thing is, I don't know if it was that article or another. One of them, they said there's 24.5 million ARs that have been in American hands right now.
Yeah, 24.4 million modern sporting rifles in circulation as of 2020. 4.5 million since 2018, but more before that. So 20 million were sold prior to 2018 and another 4.5 million after 2018. So yeah, there's a spot where they have tried to make it the ugly black rifle, the evil black rifle. And so instead of calling it modern sporting rifle, which is what it actually is, which is its official term.
The funny part, I have real guns with the wood and metal and all that stuff. But the AR is actually, it's lightweight, it's comfortable to use, it doesn't kick hard, it has a lot of pluses to it.
It is a choice that is made in a lot of the shooting sports, in the gun games where you're running and jumping and shooting. And so it's skill and accuracy and endurance and all of those.
Some of it too is there's so many different configurations you can make it into, so it fits every shooter's hand better than a normal rifle does. So whether you got long arms, short arms, or whatever, and then the fact that it's half the weight of a steel gun, I think helps contribute to that also.
Right, and I think the other thing is that it's a shmoo. You can make it anything you want it to be. So the colors, the accessories, the things, so you could personalize it so much. Yeah, 24 million definitely puts it in common use. I mean, when you compare it to how many Americans we have, but the thing that happens is, like, the Associated Press rolls out this poll, and what do they say? Liars figure and figures lie, because you can manipulate it to say what you want based on how you slice and dice it and where you ask the poll questions. So if it's a poll taken on a college campus, guess what? You've already brainwashed most of them.
Right. It's funny they say that in some of the larger cities that they're asking there's questions about guns and that, but they're not. There's nowhere in the questionnaire about making criminals responsible for the crimes that they commit or anything.
Oh, no, we cannot do that. Well, the other part is that they part of the survey is that they declared surprise that minority Americans, including African Americans and Hispanics and Asian Americans, are concerned about crime and safety. Seriously? Why would you be surprised at that? And they were also surprised that their views align very much with other gun owners, even though they're demographically, they are so different. So you mean city dwellers and their Second Amendment thoughts, and country dwellers, the city mouse, the country mouse, their thoughts are the same, that guess what, I can protect myself and my family?
Nobody wants to get bullied, I guess, is whether you live in the city or not, or
I want to go home at night, and so that's
one of the other articles I have from New York, and they were talking about in there is that a lot of the business owners are applying for concealed carry permits, even though the rules are not too clear on how to go about doing it. And they're saying that they normally get about 1,000 people ask a year for a concealed carry permit. And since the Bruin case come out at the end of June, they've had 700 applications so far.
Well, before that, they'd have 1,000 because most people were like, I'm not wasting my time and I'm not wasting my money because you're going to just tell me no.
Right.
And so now they're looking at it, and it's probably it depends on when they stack that data up. That amount is like, was it in 700 in a month? Was it, because
the
data takes a little time to come out.
Well, really, it came out at the end of June, so you really only had July.
The month of July, you're in August, is it 1 month's worth of, so yes.
Probably 1 month's worth, and also too, I mean, at first, people don't believe it, so it's slow getting started, and then, as you pointed out earlier in the show, that some of their rules for how to go about getting it are not too clear.
Yeah, they're definitely, they have not, they're like, we have rules. We don't know what they are yet, but we have rules. And so once we think about them and decide what those rules are, we'll tell you what the rules are. But until then, just know we have rules.
Well, that's one of the stories from Hawaii. They want you to give them their paperwork for your mental health.
So you have to do a voluntary mental health assessment.
Turn in a mental health form. So I don't know what the mental health form is. We're going to see if we can find one online so we can.
So the mental health form
is. We can't pass it either. So I'm sure I can.
I was gonna say, do you ever think you're just gonna be like, I run mainstream America. Just look, everybody is just like Rob, dude. Everybody
is.
No, that would be scary to have.
I am normal. That's
Yeah, Abby, you are. I don't know. We'll just say that
everybody wants to be part of the Davy Crockett party, right?
Yes, exactly. Your way of looking at things like, well, who else teaches their 6-year-old how to braise because she wanted to know, right? Yes. So we've got a listener that's asking what the gun statistics are for gun sales in the last 10 years. No, and they're slow coming out.
For ARs, AKs, etc.
Yeah, and they're slow coming out. So we're seeing the numbers we're seeing right now are the 2020 numbers, and all I know is I think we're at like 39 months of month over more than 1 million NICS checks. And think about it. There are many states that do not do NICS checks because they don't need to use the concealed carry licenses. Hey, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us. Eye on the Target Radio.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. Realize FAC